In a bustling luxury hotel, a simple phone call answered in flawless Dutch by a black hotel maid stopped a millionaire in his tracks, because sometimes, the most unexpected moments can change two lives forever. Amina's life had always been defined by quiet resilience. Born to immigrant parents who had traveled from the Netherlands to build a better future, she grew up in a small community where Dutch was the language of home and tradition. Even though she now lived thousands of miles away in the heart of New York City, those roots ran deep. The rich cadence of Dutch flowed naturally from her lips, a connection to a culture that shaped her values and the way she saw the world. But life in this new city was far from easy. Every day was a delicate balancing act, working long hours as a hotel maid in one of the city's most luxurious hotels, managing her responsibilities with care, all while holding on to a dream that seemed just beyond reach. The hotel where Amina worked gleamed with marble floors and crystal chandeliers, a place where the wealthy and powerful passed through in designer suits and glittering gowns. For them, the hotel was a temporary escape, a place to be pampered and catered to, but for Amina, it was a daily reminder of the gap between the world she lived in and the world she dreamed of. She scrubbed rooms, changed linens, and polished surfaces with a quiet determination, moving through the corridors unseen by most, invisible behind the uniform and cleaning cart. To many, she was just a maid. To her, she was so much more. Her job was exhausting. The physical labor was relentless, and the hours long. Some days, the weight of invisibility pressed hardest, not because she wanted attention, but because she wanted respect. There were moments when she felt overlooked, dismissed, or assumed incapable. Yet, beneath the fatigue and frustration, Amina's spirit remained unbroken. She carried herself with dignity and pride, a reflection of the values her parents instilled in her: hard work, integrity, and an unshakable belief in the power of education. Education had always been Amina's refuge and her beacon of hope. Ever since she was a child, she had dreamed of becoming a nurse, a profession that symbolized care, strength, and service. Nursing represented a chance to make a real difference, to care for people in their most vulnerable moments, and to prove to herself and the world that her circumstances would not define her future. But dreams, especially big ones, came with obstacles. Between her demanding job and the financial constraints her family faced, the path to that future seemed like a steep mountain to climb. Yet, Amina never wavered. Every night after her shifts, she would study by the dim light in her small apartment. The smell of cleaning supplies still lingered on her clothes, but she clung to textbooks and online courses, absorbing information with fierce determination. The sacrifices were many: missing family gatherings, skipping social events, and enduring exhaustion, but she knew each step brought her closer to the life she wanted. Her parents watched quietly, proud but cautious, knowing the world was not always kind to a young black woman chasing a dream in a city that sometimes felt cold and indifferent. In her heart, Amina also carried the stories of those who came before her, her grandmother's tales of struggle and resilience, of navigating a world that often judged people by the color of their skin and their station in life. Those stories were reminders that strength was born in adversity and that she was never truly alone. The Dutch she spoke was a link to that legacy, a language of love and endurance that gave her courage on days when the world seemed overwhelming. Despite the challenges, Amina found moments of joy in unexpected places. The brief smiles exchanged with guests who appreciated her kindness, the quiet satisfaction of a job well done, and the occasional compliments from coworkers who saw beyond the uniform. These small affirmations fueled her resolve. She understood the value of humility and grace, but also the power of hope and ambition. She dreamed not just of escaping her current life, but of transforming it, not through luck, but through relentless effort and self-belief. Her story was one of many untold in the sprawling city, a narrative of a woman who woke up each day ready to fight for her future while carrying the weight of her past. She was a testament to perseverance, embodying the idea that dignity and greatness could flourish in even the most unassuming places. For Amina, every room cleaned and every floor swept was a step forward, a quiet act of rebellion against the limitations others tried to impose. Though the hotel was filled with luxury and privilege, Amina's presence there was a reminder that behind every grand facade are countless stories of struggle and dreams. She was not just a maid, she was a woman with a vision, with a language that connected her to her heritage, and with the courage to face a world that often underestimated her. And she was determined that one day, her story would not just be about cleaning rooms but about healing lives. In those long, exhausting days, with aching muscles and tired eyes, Amina held tight to her hope. It was a hope that whispered to her in the quiet moments, the belief that her life could change, that doors would open, and that her worth would be recognized not by the uniform she wore, but by the strength and kindness she carried within. This hope was her anchor, and no matter what, she refused to let it go. The phone rang sharply at the hotel front desk, piercing the usual hum of conversations and footsteps. It was a sound that often signaled routine calls, room service requests, guest inquiries, or maintenance issues, but this time, the call was different. The voice on the other end spoke quickly, urgently, in Dutch, a language few at the hotel could understand. Without hesitation, Amina recognized it immediately. Her heart quickened not out of fear, but from a familiar connection. She stepped forward and answered calmly, her voice slipping effortlessly into the rhythm and tone of her native tongue. The caller was panicked. An elderly relative was lost somewhere in the city, disoriented and unable to explain where they were or how to get home. The stress in the caller's voice was unmistakable, fear mingled with frustration. Amina's calm response cut through the chaos. Speaking clearly and patiently, she asked questions, guided the caller to stay put, and promised help was on the way. Her fluency and empathy bridged a gap that could have easily turned into a tragedy. Meanwhile, nearby, a sharply dressed man observed silently. Jonathan Mitchell, a millionaire real estate developer known for his precision and seriousness, was in town to inspect a property he had invested millions in. Jonathan's life was often defined by meetings, numbers, and deals, a world where emotions were rarely given room to breathe. Yet, something about the way the woman spoke on the phone caught his attention. The confidence, the ease, the unmistakable sound of a language that reminded him of a distant part of his own past. He found himself watching her with a mix of curiosity and nostalgia. The conversation on the phone continued, Amina guiding the caller through the confusion, offering reassurance and clear directions. Guests and staff passed by, but no one else seemed to notice the gravity of this moment, or the quiet competence with which Amina handled it. She was solving a problem with no expectation of praise or reward. It was simply what she did, every day, helping others in whatever way she could. As the situation stabilized, the caller's panic eased, and the lost relative was soon found safe and sound. The gratitude in the caller's voice was profound, and Amina smiled quietly to herself. It was a small victory, a moment where her skills and compassion made a tangible difference. But little did she know, it was also a turning point for someone who had been watching from the sidelines. Jonathan approached the front desk after the call ended, asking about the woman who had answered so effortlessly in Dutch. When he was told it was Amina, the maid who worked the floors, something stirred within him. His grandmother had spoken Dutch too, and memories of her kindness and strength flooded back. It had been years since he had heard the language spoken with such warmth and confidence. He wanted to know more. He asked the receptionist to send Amina to his suite. When she arrived, a mixture of surprise and caution flickered across her face. She had no idea why the millionaire wanted to meet her, and the power imbalance between them was not lost on her. But Jonathan greeted her with respect and genuine interest. He thanked her for helping with the call and shared a story about his grandmother, a woman who had taught him lessons about kindness and humility that shaped his life. In that moment, Jonathan saw something rare in Amina, not just the ability to speak a language, but the strength, intelligence, and grace that often went unseen by others. Her eyes told stories of struggle and hope, a determination that went far beyond her role in the hotel. She wasn't just a maid, she was a person with dreams and the courage to pursue them against all odds. Their conversation stretched beyond the phone call. Jonathan asked about her life, her family, and her ambitions. Amina spoke openly about the challenges she faced, the long hours, the exhaustion, the financial struggles, and the constant battle to keep her dreams alive. She described her desire to become a nurse, to give back to her community, and to create a better life for herself and those she loved. Jonathan listened without judgment, impressed by her honesty and resilience. In his world, people often talked about success and opportunity, but rarely did he meet someone who embodied those ideals through sheer perseverance. He realized that talent and potential existed everywhere, not just among the elite, but in people like Amina, who worked tirelessly without recognition. That brief encounter planted a seed of inspiration in Jonathan's mind. It challenged his assumptions and reminded him that greatness is not measured by wealth or status, but by character and determination. For Amina, it was a rare moment of being seen, not as a maid or a background figure, but as a person worthy of respect and possibility. As they parted, Jonathan promised to keep in touch. Amina returned to her duties, her heart a little lighter, her hope a little stronger. The day had started like any other, but the ripple effect of that phone call was just beginning. In a city full of strangers, a simple act of speaking a language from the heart had opened a door neither of them expected, a door that would lead to transformation, friendship, and new opportunities. This moment showed that sometimes, the most profound connections happen in the briefest exchanges, when one person takes the time to listen and recognize another's humanity. It was a reminder that beneath every uniform, behind every job title, lies a story waiting to be heard, and a potential waiting to be unlocked. When Jonathan asked to meet Amina in his suite, it was more than just curiosity, it was a desire to connect with a part of his own past he had long neglected. For Amina, the request stirred a mixture of emotions, surprise, nervousness, and a cautious hope. She was used to blending into the background, her presence unnoticed in a world dominated by wealth and privilege. Yet here was a man who not only saw her but wanted to hear her story. The weight of that recognition was both humbling and empowering. Jonathan's demeanor was genuine and unpretentious as he welcomed Amina. He spoke of his grandmother, whose Dutch words had once filled his childhood home with warmth and love. He shared how those early lessons in kindness and humility shaped his values, even as he climbed the ladder of success. It was clear that Jonathan wasn't just fulfilling a polite obligation, he was reaching out from a place of sincere interest and respect. Amina, in turn, opened up about her life with a vulnerability that surprised even herself. She spoke of the sacrifices her parents made when they immigrated, leaving behind familiar lives in search of opportunity. She described the exhaustion of working long shifts in the hotel, the challenges of balancing work with her dreams of education, and the moments when doubt crept in. But above all, she expressed her unyielding hope and determination to become a nurse, a goal that represented not just a career, but a way to give back and create meaning from her struggles. Jonathan listened without interruption, absorbing every word. He recognized in Amina a resilience that echoed his own family's story, yet shaped by a very different reality. The barriers she faced were real and daunting, yet she carried herself with a quiet strength that demanded acknowledgement. To him, she embodied the true meaning of potential, a force that could not be measured by a resume or bank account, but by character and perseverance. Their conversation delved deeper into the challenges Amina faced as a black immigrant woman navigating a world that often underestimated her. She recounted experiences of subtle prejudice, moments when her voice was dismissed, or her capabilities questioned simply because of her background and job title. But she refused to let those moments define her. Instead, they fueled her resolve to prove that she was more than anyone's assumptions. Jonathan reflected on his own life, realizing how insulated his world had become. Despite his wealth and status, he had sometimes lost sight of the human stories behind the polished surfaces of his business ventures. Meeting Amina reminded him that real strength comes from the unseen battles people fight every day. It was a lesson in humility and perspective, one that challenged him to rethink the way he saw success and worth. For Amina, the conversation was transformative. Here was someone from a completely different world who was willing to listen and believe in her dreams. The moment ignited a spark of possibility she had carried quietly but now felt emboldened to pursue openly. It was no longer just about surviving each day, it was about thriving, about stepping into a future where her potential could be fully realized. Jonathan's questions were thoughtful and sincere, showing that he valued not just her story but her aspirations. He asked about the barriers she faced, what support she needed, and how he might help. It was clear he wasn't offering empty words, but a genuine desire to make a difference. For the first time, Amina felt seen as a whole person, not just bystanders or service workers, but as someone with ideas, ambition, and the capacity to change her life. The conversation also uncovered shared values between them, family, perseverance, and the belief that education is a gateway to opportunity. Despite their vastly different lives, they found common ground in these core beliefs. Jonathan was reminded of his own beginnings, the encouragement he had received, and the doors that had been opened for him. He wanted to extend that same chance to Amina, to be a bridge that connected her dreams with reality. As the meeting drew to a close, the dynamic between them had shifted. What began as a brief encounter had blossomed into a meaningful connection based on mutual respect and hope. Jonathan saw in Amina not just a maid or a helper, but a person with brilliance and strength waiting to be unlocked. Amina left the meeting with a renewed sense of purpose and the knowledge that someone influential believed in her potential. This moment marked the beginning of a new chapter, a turning point where possibility met preparation. For Amina, it was a validation of years of hard work and sacrifice. For Jonathan, it was a reminder of the power of empathy and the importance of lifting others up. Their meeting was a testament to how bridges can be built between worlds through simple acts of recognition and genuine conversation. It was a reminder that greatness often lives in unexpected places, waiting for someone to notice and nurture it. In a world divided by status and circumstance, their connection was a beacon of hope, a story that would inspire others to look beyond appearances and believe in the transformative power of kindness and opportunity. With the connection made and a promise to stay in touch, Jonathan began thinking seriously about how he could help Amina move closer to her dreams. He was aware that ambition alone wasn't always enough. There were real-world obstacles that stood in the way, from financial burdens to systemic barriers. Jonathan knew that to make a lasting impact, support had to be meaningful and practical. It wasn't enough to offer empty words or temporary encouragement. He wanted to create opportunities that could transform Amina's life. Jonathan arranged a meeting with his trusted team to discuss possible ways to support Amina's aspirations. He explored scholarships, mentorship programs, and even potential internships within his network that could provide Amina with exposure and experience in the healthcare field. He was determined to leverage his resources to create a pathway for her, not only as a one-time gesture but as a sustained investment in her future. Meanwhile, Amina's world continued as it always had, filled with long hours and tireless effort. But now, something had shifted within her. The knowledge that someone with influence believed in her potential infused her with renewed energy. She balanced her hotel duties with intensified study sessions, often burning the midnight oil to prepare for nursing entrance exams and certifications. The journey was still daunting, but the weight felt lighter knowing she wasn't alone. Support came not only from Jonathan but from unexpected places. Colleagues who once regarded her as just a coworker began to see her in a new light, an example of determination and hope. Some offered help in small ways, whether it was sharing study materials, giving encouragement, or simply acknowledging her efforts. The hotel community, often bustling and impersonal, started to feel a bit more like a network of allies rather than a hierarchy of strangers. Despite the positive changes, Amina faced setbacks. Financial struggles persisted, and the emotional toll of balancing work, study, and family responsibilities was exhausting. There were moments of doubt when the road ahead seemed too steep, and exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her spirit. But in those moments, she reminded herself of the conversation with Jonathan, the faith he had in her, the vision they had shared. It was a beacon to hold on to when everything else seemed uncertain. Jonathan's involvement went beyond financial support. He became a mentor, offering advice and encouragement. He introduced Amina to professionals in healthcare and education, connecting her with people who could provide guidance and open doors. This network of support was crucial, breaking down barriers that had once seemed impenetrable. Jonathan recognized that real change happened not through charity alone but through empowerment and opportunity. The ripple effect of this support began to show. Amina passed her entrance exams and was accepted into a reputable nursing program. It was a moment of triumph that carried the weight of years of sacrifice and hard work. The acceptance wasn't just a personal victory, it was a testament to the power of resilience and the impact of someone willing to believe and invest in another's potential. The transformation was not only practical but emotional. Amina's confidence grew as she stepped into her new role as a student nurse. She began to see herself not as a hotel maid but as a future caregiver, a healer, and a role model. The dream that once seemed distant was now within reach. The challenges remained, but the path forward was clearer and more hopeful. Jonathan watched with pride and humility as Amina's journey unfolded. Her success wasn't just about changing one life, it was a reminder of the potential within every person when given a chance. It reinforced his commitment to using his resources to uplift others and to challenge the assumptions society often makes about worth and ability. Their story became an inspiration to others, illustrating how connection and compassion can break down barriers and build bridges between worlds. It was a powerful example of how simple acts, answering a phone call in a forgotten language, offering a listening ear, sharing resources, can spark profound change. In the midst of the city's hustle and bustle, amidst the luxury and anonymity, a narrative of hope and transformation was quietly taking shape. Amina's journey was a testament to the strength of the human spirit, the importance of support, and the undeniable truth that dreams, no matter how big or small, deserve a chance. Together, Amina and Jonathan demonstrated that when people see each other's humanity, barriers fall away, and possibilities emerge. Their story was a powerful reminder that success is not just about individual effort but about community, empathy, and the willingness to lift each other up. It was a call to action, to recognize potential in unexpected places and to invest in dreams with heart and intention. Amina's future was no longer just a dream. It was becoming reality, step by determined step. And with every milestone, the world around her changed a little too, opening its eyes to the power of hope, courage, and connection. Amina's journey from hotel maid to nursing student was marked not only by personal triumph but by profound shifts in the way she viewed herself and was perceived by others. Each milestone she reached was a quiet victory over the doubts and hardships that had once threatened to hold her back. More than that, her transformation became a beacon of hope and possibility for those around her, a living proof that circumstances do not define destiny. As she progressed through nursing school, Amina's commitment deepened. The rigorous demands of the program tested her endurance, intellect, and empathy in ways she had never imagined. There were late nights studying anatomy, early mornings practicing clinical skills, and moments when exhaustion weighed heavily on her spirit. But through it all, Amina held on to a vision far greater than her immediate struggles. She was not just learning to care for others, she was crafting a legacy of resilience and service. The lessons she absorbed extended beyond textbooks and lectures. Amina encountered patients whose stories reminded her of her own family's sacrifices, who battled illness with courage she could only admire. She found purpose in their smiles, in the gratitude expressed through quiet gestures. Nursing became more than a career, it was a calling to give back to the community that had shaped her, to be a source of strength and comfort in moments of vulnerability. Throughout this journey, Jonathan remained a steadfast supporter, not as a distant benefactor but as a genuine friend and mentor. He attended some of her graduation ceremonies, celebrated her achievements, and introduced her to networks that furthered her professional growth. His belief in her potential never wavered, and in turn, Amina's success reshaped his understanding of leadership and responsibility. Their story began to attract attention beyond their immediate circles. Media outlets, inspired by the unlikely connection between a wealthy businessman and a determined hotel maid, shared their story as a symbol of hope and transformation. It resonated widely because it was real, rooted in human connection, empathy, and the breaking down of social barriers. People saw in Amina's journey a reflection of their own dreams and struggles. The attention brought opportunities but also new challenges. Public scrutiny can be a double-edged sword, and Amina navigated it with grace. She remained grounded, focused on the work ahead rather than the spotlight. Her humility and authenticity made her an inspiring role model, especially for young women facing similar obstacles. She spoke openly about the importance of education, perseverance, and community support, urging others to believe in their potential even when the odds seemed stacked against them. At the same time, Amina never forgot the roots of her journey, the hotel where she had worked tirelessly, the language that connected her to her heritage, and the small acts of kindness that had changed everything. She made it a point to give back, volunteering at community centers, mentoring young immigrants, and advocating for programs that support underrepresented groups in education and healthcare. Jonathan's perspective continued to evolve as well. He expanded his philanthropic efforts, inspired by the impact one person's belief could have. He championed initiatives to provide scholarships, mentorship, and career development for people from disadvantaged backgrounds. His story with Amina became a personal mission to bridge gaps in opportunity and to highlight the untapped potential within communities often overlooked. Their relationship, once a chance meeting sparked by a phone call in Dutch, had grown into a partnership rooted in mutual respect and shared purpose. It was a reminder that true success is measured not by wealth or status, but by the lives one touches and the barriers one helps dismantle. Years later, when Amina donned her nursing uniform for the first time as a certified professional, it was more than a personal achievement. It symbolized the power of hope, resilience, and community. The journey from a hotel maid who answered a call in a language few understood to a nurse ready to serve her community was a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Amina's story continues to inspire countless others to pursue their dreams, regardless of the obstacles. It challenges society to rethink assumptions about who has value and potential. It demonstrates that empathy and opportunity, when combined, can rewrite destinies. This is a story about more than one person's success, it is about the ripple effect of kindness and belief. It reminds us that sometimes, all it takes is one person seeing another for who they truly are, and the courage to act on that belief. In a world often divided by status and circumstance, Amina and Jonathan's story is a beacon of hope, proof that genuine connection can change lives. Their journey encourages us all to listen more deeply, to act more compassionately, and to invest in one another's dreams. Because when we do, we unlock the extraordinary potential that lies within us all. Thank you so much for watching this incredible story of hope, resilience, and the power of kindness. If Amina's journey inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more uplifting stories that remind us all that greatness can come from the most unexpected places. Remember, sometimes all it takes is one person believing in you to change your life forever. So never give up on your dreams, and always be ready to lift others up along the way. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever experienced a moment where someone's kindness changed everything? Share your story in the comments below. Until next time, stay hopeful, stay strong, and keep shining your light. See you in the next video?